and welcome again to yet another episode of Tuesday Connect. My name is Ted Wahome, and it's a pleasure for me to be hosting us in this particular episode. Now, before I introduce my very able guests to this particular episode today, I'd like you to, first of all, if you haven't already, please subscribe, all right? Just end that up or down. All right, and hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that anytime we put out an episode, you can know that it's out and you can join in immediately. All right, and please feel free to share this with your friends, share with family, share with anybody that you have in mind. We hope that these conversations are blessing you, that they are helping you, just have a biblical worldview on many issues of life. All right, allow me to introduce our very own, right here on my left,
Gideon Kadu.
It's actually Gideon. We have insisted. Gedi. That's his name. It's actually G-E-D-I-O-N.
Gideon.
Well, Gideon. That's
Gideon.
okay. And on my right is our very own
Baraka is my name.
Awesome stuff. He talks louder than that. Do not be deceived. All right, karibuni sana. Today we're going to talk about a very special and a bit, I would say, I think, controversial-ish topic. So I don't know. In case, don't throw any shoes. All right, kwa show, tafadhali, let's maintain proper decorum.
That's a good disclaimer, just in case we under-deliver.
No, what I'm worried about is violence. Violence is what I'm worried about. All right, so today we're going to talk about facilitation fee, okay? First of all, let's just establish that everyone knows what a facilitation fee is. So, Gideon, tafadhali, start us off by telling us what a facilitation fee is.
Why do you think that I know? But yeah, I mean, that's a common Kenyan word, where you pay a fee to get your way.
So, like for instance, if I go to the supermarket and I pay a fee to get my bread,
So
is that a facilitation? Am I facilitating bread in my house?
If you are queuing at the supermarket,
Yes.
and there are like 15 people ahead of you,
Okay.
and then you give each one 50 shillings to get ahead of the queue, you're facilitating your shopping.
Yeah, that's just using your cogosity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody said paying facilitation fees, not using your head. So, but yeah, I mean, we all know. That is a good way of talking about bribery. You know? Yes.
Okay. That's what I was trying to.
Yes.
Ungesema.
Bribery.
Ni nini kwenda Somalia via
Na bribery
China?
si ati umesoma briban.
Hey, Kadu, that's how I know you did not learn in a group of schools. Ati kisomea briban? When is our bribery? Actually, remember those shirts that were called Burberry? Zilikuwa na kakola ka checked ka brown up hivi.
There is a colognes.
Yes.
All the cutlery.
But shirts is
Even
what...
sweets.
Even sweets?
Yeah.
Burberry?
Yeah.
They have sweets as well?
Gums.
Hey, boss. All right.
But I don't know.
No, I don't know. So unaweza nidanganya. I'm not too sure. All right, so maybe we can begin here by asking the question. I think every time, and of course maybe even many of our listeners will be like, yeah, we know what you're going to say, right? Like, bribery is bad, so nini and stuff. So maybe let's begin here. Is there ever a time when it's actually, I need to choose my words carefully. Let me just say okay to pay a facilitation fee to get something. Yeah.
I think for a lot of people who will do that, you could perhaps consider a circumstance where you are facing someone maybe who's powerful or someone who is in a position to help in a situation and then they withhold or delay. I'm thinking of a situation where perhaps you are taking an ill or a pregnant person to the hospital and you are ready to deliver and...
Pregnant lady?
Yeah,
in the days of political correctness, I understand. But let us grant that biology is biology.
We have never seen a pregnant man.
Exactly.
Pregnant with hopes and dreams. You guys don't know
expectant of a future and a hope.
And there is this person who, for example, who is stopping you. It's a cop. Maybe he's stopped you. He's checking your car, and people have found situations where a cop has been maybe sometimes unreasonable, and they are
Actually,
delaying you.
because they know you're vulnerable.
Yes, at that instance, and they are needing of this person to release them to go, and so because they feel like if they do not act, expeditiously, the situation may become worse. Someone may feel like, I think this is a good reason to actually pay something, and then I'm released and I go. Yeah, and so yeah, there could be reasons where people will think, yeah, it makes sense to actually pay a facilitation fee. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Listening to you, and honestly, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
But I'm wondering about the guy or the lady who's probably listening to us right now and wondering, okay, but if you sort of give a leeway there, what stops me from rationalizing anything else? Like, where does the buck stop? You know? Like, maybe one could say that in that particular instant, that's necessary, but I could legitimize and say, and rationalize and say, if I don't give this facilitation fee, I won't get business, and therefore my kids will sleep hungry, right? I won't be able to do what I need to do. So is that, where does the buck stop?
So I think asking whether there are legitimate reasons why one would do that does not necessarily make it right. I think let's just put that out clear.
Yeah.
But then there are moments when you rationalize. I mean, you're forced to apply basic wisdom, and you find yourself engaging in bribery, but then it doesn't make it right. So we're not trying to say that it is right, but we're just asking, are there instances where you can rationalize? And I think it's given good examples. Another one is, look, you're coming from Marsabit, okay, which is Uko, up north, and then you're arrested, let's say 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers. You're stopped by a cop because you crossed a yellow line, which you sincerely did not see, okay? And then as a good citizen, you admit you are wrong, and then you're told you have to come to court to Marsabit, and you live in Nairobi. And you're wondering, look, I live 1,000 kilometers away, or 700 kilometers away. And if I go to court, I'll be charged 1,000 shillings for crossing a yellow line. Do I really need to travel 700 kilometers to pay 1,000 shillings to the government? Or might I as well just pay the cash bill, which usually is just paid to cops, and not show up? Knowing that someone will pocket it, it won't go to the state, but the case is, So I think it's just a question of applying wisdom and making the best use of your time. But we're not saying that it makes it right.
Right, and yeah,
Okay.
facilitation fee rides on the back of many things, and one of them could actually be pragmatism. It could also be just convenience. I want to make perhaps a system that is not efficient to work for me for that specific occasion. So the thinking that shapes it, or that comes into making that decision or that instance, is this moment, does it make sense in that instance? So the person who is making that judgment at that moment may be thinking about that at that instance. And like Pastor Kadu says, it doesn't necessarily make it right. Many times, and I think many of us find ourselves in danger in many occasions when we only think of this moment and not the other connected moments that are related with this particular instance. So, and I think that will explain even how someone will perhaps even legitimize cheating on maybe their partner because they were unfaithful to them, or because they're not talking to me. So I'm finding solace in someone else talking to me. So this is making sense. You can't be in a place where you're disrespecting all of these things, so let me find solace in someone else. So in that instance, they're thinking this makes sense, and it can make sense to your head at that moment. But you have you're thinking of this as an isolated incident, and not the interrelatedness of many other things that are happening, and back, present, and future.
Okay.
As well, yeah.
Right. I like what you said about sometimes we do it for convenience. Because the first example you gave was where there's actually danger to life, right? And speaking of rationalizations, Sorry, this is a digression, by the way, just so you know. Remember the story of unfortunately, I think it was a made-up story or something, but anyway, of a pastor who was caught embezzling church funds. So akaulizwa, where did you take the money? He said, I used it to feed needy children. He said, but hey, we've watched your lifestyle, Nini, and stuff. It looks like you're spending this money on yourselves.
Like you're pretty needy.
Yeah. He said, yeah, my needy children. So I think it's amazing that if we are caught in a corner, right, any of us can really just pretty much rationalize anything, right? And maybe that's even where I'm stuck right now still, right? Or maybe there's someone listening right now who's still wondering, okay, fine. So you're saying there might be a legitimate reason, but it doesn't make it right to do it, to give it. Where does that leave me as a Christian? If I find myself in such a situation, what do I do? So
good question. First of all, so that we pay this facilitation fee communicates, okay? And for me, first of all, it communicates that about your faith or lack of faith in God. Because at that point, you don't believe that God could actually get you out of this rabbit hole. So you need to act to get yourself out of whatever trouble you are in. This guy was feeding the needy. He believes that God cannot take care of his needy children. And of course, we're just using this as a pretext for stealing. And so, yeah, we do this because, first of all, we don't really believe in God at that given point to sort whatever issue or mess we are in, okay? And then sometimes we also just want to run away from accountability and responsibility for whatever we've done. Look, you've done something that has put you at crosshairs with the law. The right thing to do is face the law, pay whatever you need to pay, serve the state, and get over it. But you're thinking, no, I'll do this thing my way. And so again, you're just encouraging yourself to evade responsibility and accountability. And so it doesn't make it right at any given time.
Okay. All right, that's helpful. And in fact, I want to transition to another question. Somebody might actually be listening to this and wondering, wait, this is actually an issue? Like they probably don't even think this is an issue. Why is facilitation fee, and so maybe we're just broaching this a bit further. Why is facilitation fee, paying a facilitation fee, sort of like a not okay thing, right? Why is it a bad thing? If especially it's not hurting anyone, per se. Like it's a very private transaction. I don't tell people I've gone to buy a packet of bread. It's a very private transaction. I'm going to buy bread for my house, right? Somebody might argue, when I pay that, that's just between us. So what's bad about it, or something like that? So I don't know.
That's a good question, actually, to ponder. Well, as Christians, we...
Umesikia vile hadi amepose. To ponder. Yeah.
You're still pondering.
We are still pondering.
Ponder away.
Exactly, and as we are pondies. Please, ponder away.
As Christians, our mental faculties, our thinking is part of our Christian experience. We bring our thought into our actions as well. So we don't just act and then say, you know what, I'm just living by, I'm not living by reason as well. And so there is reason to ask yourself, could this be coming at a greater cost? There is reason for you to ask, not just to cost and say everyone is doing it. I'm living in a country where if you don't pay this, this and this.
It's a system.
It's just a system. Yeah, part of our call is actually to interrogate what is the foundation that has shaped this culture, and to now then to engage that culture. And so part of the reason could be that why we would need to think about it is to think about, could there be other people who are involved in this who are perhaps subverting justice, something that is necessarily needful to them? How about that person who is unable to pay, for example? So this is a system that has been created that works for someone who, when they pay, the system works for them. How about the person who is unable to pay? So at that instance, I am thinking and being mindful of the other person, perhaps, that could be unable to pay, who my paying supports that system. And so in that instance, I'm being mindful of a brother or a sister that will actually be in need in that instance. Yeah.
Wow, that's a good point. So basically that becomes a justice issue.
Yeah, that becomes
In
a
other words,
justice issue.
you're disadvantaging those who are not able to facilitate the system.
And you're facilitating impunity.
Yeah.
You know, and the more this guy gets used to this whole idea, I mean, you can as well forget about justice.
It's true.
Yeah.
Because people then now, in fact, inakuja akifanya budget per month, anajua there's a law,
12%.
20K, and then there's 100%, 100,000 that is from bribes and stuff. So it becomes part of the income, and so to sustain that kind of lifestyle, and as you have to sort of sustain.
And you can imagine the sort of lawlessness that could ensue. Actually, that could ensue. I mean, we look at our own countrymen, look at the matatu culture, and the border just recently, we had issues with them. Partly because they know, look, if I'm stopped by a cop, I'll just drop like a 50 bob, and I can get away with whatever madness I was engaging in. And so you might think you're not hurting anyone, but the anarchy you're creating ends up hurting even yourself. Yeah.
I want to throw a spanner in the works a little bit. Have you guys been caught been in a... God, this is like, why are you going there, man? Why are you going there?
I have a small window to walk away. Very small.
This guy is just about to walk away from the set. Be like, hey, sorry, weather, a cough. But have you found yourself in a place where by then it was like a really, really tight situation? You don't need to say whether you paid the bribe or not, but just maybe the circumstances that led to that.
Well, I mean, I have gotten arrested, especially by traffic cops. Not because I was deliberately breaking the law. You see, sometimes you're told that there used to be a yellow line here. And then they came and...
There used to be being the keyword.
They fixed the road. They didn't paint it again. But somehow they expect you to know that there used to be
a yellow line. Yeah.
Or you park somewhere, your car's been clamped. And you're told, yellow. You're thinking, dude, where is it? It used to be. In moments like those. Yeah, so I've found myself, especially when you're driving on the highway. There's a particular spot, especially driving to Mombasa, that I always get stopped. And for some weird reason, I keep forgetting that those guys are hiding in that corner. But what I've always done myself is, look, just admit I was wrong. I've broken the law. But at this particular instance, in humility, I'm asking that you forgive. And somehow by there, I think I've always landed in the hands of reasonable cops. So sometimes they're just like, we ni mtu mzuri, and they let you go. So I've not really had to pay facilitation fee. But then sometimes when I'm driving back, because I will become friends, I will stop and say, Buddha, I brought you tea or coffee or something.
Yeah.
But not because I was doing that to get myself out of trouble.
Actually, maybe is it just better to say something like, I bought you omena or something? Because chai just has, again, also still has connotations.
It's very hard to take away omena. you can take away...
Where do you know?
Do you have omena
I have friends.
You have omena cups.
I have friends, my friend.
I want 15 omena, so take away cup. Baby sharks.
Nipatie baby shark 15.
Now make it take away.
Make it take away. It's very possible, by the way, to take away. I think, okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will come back to this whole topic of baby shark, or omena, also known as baby shark. But I think it's possible to do it. Anyway, I think for me, it's just, and that's an important thing, by the way, that you've raised. Because sometimes, is it bad, for instance, someone might be asking, if a cop actually helps you and it's, kind of sets you free. By the way, you actually legitimately you made a mistake, and then they let you go. At that point in time, if you give them something, is that a facilitation fee you're paying?
I don't think so. Sometimes you do it out of just, look, we know the hard work that these guys do. Sometimes you see them standing in the rain and stuff like that. So sometimes it's also good to just appreciate them. And many times you don't stop at where a cop is, you want to chapter stories with them. So when you find yourself in those moments when they've stopped you and you've talked nicely, you become friends, I don't think there's anything wrong in appreciating them yeah, as long as you know, I'm not doing this to earn or whatever, to buy my freedom, but I'm doing this because, look, already I am free anyway. So I'm just appreciating this guy for being a good man.
And it's probably even helpful to say those words, right? Like, hey, afisa, asante sana, and stuff like that. But itu ni ya kusema asante, you know, tunashukuru unafanya kazi nzuri, ile kazi mnafanya, na by the way, jua ya kwamba we really do appreciate you.
Even making them aware that if you ever catch me in an offense, don't think that because I gave you this money, that you have no reason to actually arrest me. So that
so mi kwenye Christianity yangu imefika. Sijui kama imefika kwa ya Baraka.
Because this is an enforcer of the law.
Yeah.
There is a way in which this gift could be misinterpreted. You want to make it clear.
Exactly.
Yeah, knowing the culture that we are in, you want to make that.
There's always that danger.
Yeah.
And even, you know,
so they don't feel obligated to you.
To support what Baraka is saying, a good proverb would be, a bribe is a charm in the sight of its owner. Wherever he turns, he prospers. I don't think if you appreciate him, that next time he'll even bother stopping you. Yeah. So it can also be misconstrued.
Exactly.
But then it's good to make them understand that, look, we appreciate what you're doing. You guys are doing a good job, and hii si chai. Hii ni, you know, kama ndugu yako, asante kwa kazi mzuri unafanya.
It's the same way you would tip maybe a waiter who served you very well, and stuff like that. Yeah, but again,
or
so
a
maybe
preach as well.
Yeah, leave Kadu. You know, so and I like that, like being very deliberate to actually say, easy chai, you know, itu ni ku appreciate, na by the way nikifanya makosa, like feel free to actually tell me that, hey, nimekosea, and we will know how to proceed, whether it means going to court and stuff like that, right? Yeah. All right, so I think we can all agree that paying facilitation fees nowadays is sort of like commonplace. Like sometimes it's almost unavoidable. You know, like there are certain systems, certain industries where it's very hard. I think you mentioned the matatu, whatever. Like if you are a matatu owner, it's just highly unlikely that you will survive for long without paying facilitation fees. So someone might actually be watching this and wondering, man, for me who is a Christian, is there any hope? Especially if you're saying, it's not right, actually, to pay this facilitation fee. And somebody's wondering, hey, man, you're putting me in a corner here. Is there any hope? Maybe let's discuss that as we come to a close of this episode.
I mean, there's always hope. Look, we've been called to be light in a dark world. And no matter how small light flickers, it will be seen in the darkness. So I think ours is just to play our part as believers and try to be the change that we hope to see. And so if you are on the wrong, just go the full hog. Face the judge, pay your dues to the state. You know, if you're in a business and maybe you're looking for some permits and people are asking for that fees, I think, again, it's a test of your faith. Do you trust that God can actually help you set up your business without establishing, whatever, without giving that facilitation fee? And so, yeah, I mean, is it going to be easy? No. Is it worth doing? I think there is the joy and peace of knowing that, look, my business failed not because of my own failures, but because I chose to do what is right. And I mean, who knows? God might even open your eyes to other things. So, yeah, I would say there is hope. Let's continue doing what is right. Yeah. Let's be those flickers, small flickers of light all over the place. Soon, it will be felt. Yeah.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful.
And as a Christian, the call is not necessarily that the journey will be easy. So we're not saying that it's going to be easy for you. When you come to the faith, the journey of transformation is gradual, and the scriptures talk about the renewing of your mind, put on Christ, the attitude of your hearts be like Christ, and that journey may be slow, it may be gradual and progressive. So begin by shifting, by giving yourself to the authority of the scriptures and saying, I will not allow pragmatism to be the driving force of my life, but the wisdom of God will take preeminence, and allow your mind to continually be renewed and see God at work in your life. Our call to be salt and light. Salt sort of prevents decay, and light actually dispels darkness. And so that call that Christ makes for us to do that is a call for you as well, Christian. And so see yourself as that person, and that God has equipped you. His divine power has given you everything that you need for life and godliness. God is aware, and the God who places us in circumstances where maybe some aspects of corruption are maybe more preeminent than other places, is also the God who equips us also with the power, the ability to be able to push back the darkness. And so don't see yourself as a victim and just think about now here I am, what will I do? The forces are more powerful than I am. Think about a God who is greater than the circumstances you are in. I'm reminded of a scripture, I think in Peter, that talks about, if you could help me remember this,
Yeah.
that there are other saints as well, who are also experiencing all over the world. I think we're also experiencing your own. So be encouraged, Christian, that you're not in this fight against sin alone. Yeah, you also have other saints who are persevering and praying and travailing, and some are overcoming as well. Yeah.
And some of God actually honors our sacrifice.
Yeah.
And a good example would be the story of Daniel. Of course, he wasn't
You know,
forced to
that's
beg.
exactly what I was thinking about. Yeah.
He wasn't. But he's in this place where he's being asked to compromise his faith. And we're told that Daniel resolved not to defile himself with the royal food. And at the end of the story, you see just how God honored that particular resolve to stand up for God, no matter how inconvenient and hard, no matter how far this thing will set you back as a business person. I think God honors when we stand and say that, look, I will choose God's glory and God's honor than my own convenience. And so I'm not paying this thing.
Wow, wonderful. We hope that this particular conversation has sparked maybe a few thoughts, has provoked you to think perhaps differently about this whole issue. We'd love to hear what you have to say. And so please feel free to drop a few comments in the chat section of this particular episode. We really would like to hear your feedback. What are your thoughts? What are the things that you've been thinking about as we have talked about this thing? But I have found this conversation very helpful. And so thank you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kadu, and thank you, Baraka, for joining us for this particular segment. But until next week, this is Tuesday Connect. Stay blessed.